seen the little boy? I would ask him, have you seen him anywhere? Because I can't find him. Do you suppose, I said, that they have him locked up in a closet? I said, because things like that happen. I told them they happen every day. Oh, you're just imagining, they told me. You're just imagining. Then the crying started, like a little cat crying. Like it seemed like so far away. Because every night I would get out there and I was like a crazy woman looking for the voice. Whoever is crying, and it seemed like nobody could hear but me. And that day, oh, I was so happy. I was happy. The lights were never on when he was getting molested. Never. And I called, I says, I caught him. They're here, come over. I called the police out right away and I said, I'm waiting outside. I was so excited finding him. And I said, not my little boy, not my little boy.
It was one of the worst physical abuse cases that we've seen. He'd been beaten, he'd been burned with cigarettes, he'd been starved, he'd been isolated in a room. Please take the trouble to pick up the phone and call the police or call the reporting line at social services, because we can only help when we know that abuse is occurring. 1 out of every 4 girls and 1 out of every 5 or 6 boys will be abused, sexually abused, before they're 18 years old. You know, I've heard those numbers over and over, but it wasn't quite real to me until I did the math for Pueblo County. We have 37,500 children under age 18 in our county. If I take that 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 5 or 6 boys, what that tells me is that 7,500 of those children will be abused before they are 18 years old. And that is something we have to keep working every day to reduce and to protect those children. The mission of the Child Advocacy Center is to provide a child-friendly, home-like environment for the investigation of abuse and to follow up with the child and the family to help them through the healing process. In many ways, we're a very small agency, but in many ways, we have a very far reach. Both the number of children that we see each year, the fact that we serve not just Pueblo County, but all over southeastern Colorado.
Actually, I didn't really know what to expect when I came in, and maybe I expected more of a clinical atmosphere, more like a doctor's office or something like that. And so when I came in, I immediately, even though I'm an old person, I was put at ease. I could immediately relate to how it would put a child at ease when they would come in and not traumatize them like I mentioned before, and really give the whole system the best chance of success.
The last thing we want is them to be re-traumatized because of the work we're trying to do to help them. And that this way, this kind of a center is just ideal to help these children and start the healing process.
We essentially have one overall program, which is to be available to facilitate the investigation of child abuse. Now that takes several different dimensions. One is specially trained folks come in, oftentimes it's a detective or a caseworker, to interview that child, to talk to that child in a very special way that finds out from them what did or maybe didn't happen.
Forensic interviewing is the ability to talk to kids in an informal setting in order to get information from them regarding a sexual abuse, physical abuse, something that traumatic has happened in their life.
The advantages of partnering with the Pueblo Child Advocacy Center are that it provides a relaxed atmosphere for me to meet the child for the first time and sit and talk to them about what's happened to them. As a detective, I prefer interviewing a child at the Pueblo Child Advocacy Center because it offers a place that's more like home. And they don't have to feel like they're under pressure talking to somebody about what's happened to them.
We have several medical providers who work with us who have a lot of experience in looking at children and trying to distinguish whether they have any symptoms that might indicate that abuse has occurred.
We do the exams in the medical exams at the Child Advocacy Center setting because it makes the child comfortable. They don't get scared. And there's just so much difference between doing this in an emergency room or in a doctor's office. We see these cases all the way from tiny, tiny babies to adolescents, girls and boys. And in my experience, they all need to be examined and reassured that if they have a medical finding, we'll deal with it, fix it, treat it. If they don't, they need reassurance that they're okay.
While it's important to do that initial investigation of the abuse, the child and the family don't heal just because the investigation is done. There's a whole lot more that needs to go on. So we have a family advocate who meets with the families, sits with the children or with the adults that bring them here while they visit for that first investigation. It may be just that, if there's been abuse, we just about always recommend that child get some counseling, and the parents may well need some counseling. So we're helping them find housing, we're helping them find transportation, and all kinds of things to support that person who's in crisis, that family that's in crisis. We can't do this by ourselves. We only have a couple of employees, despite the fact that we see over 200 children each year. So we really operate in a multidisciplinary, multi-agency team. And that would include law enforcement, child protection workers, our medical staff, mental health workers, our victim advocate, and the district attorney. The good news about the sexual abuse of children is that nationwide we're seeing major decreases in the frequency. The Child Advocacy Center has been here for 25 years. We are one of the first child advocacy centers in the country. Each child who sees us leaves with a quilt, a book, and a stuffed animal. And I have never bought those things. It is the community that provides those to us in an almost magical way. It's one of the things that inspires me as I keep doing this work.
Well, as a father and a business owner, we put the Child Advocacy Center close to the top of our list as far as who we support.
My fondest wish would always be that we would go out of business because we wouldn't be needed anymore, because children weren't getting abused. Unfortunately, I don't think that's very likely to happen. And we really want to serve as a regional center for any child in southeastern Colorado that needs our help.